Mission Golf has first blood, and Parks is with us this morning. I see you there, my man. Good to see you. All right. We're going to be talking about the price of eggs this morning and so many other things. Matter of fact, I've got just about all the time in the world to go until we're tired of going. And I've got Cameron with us this morning, the mega Mark de Schadenfreude, because holy shit. Before we get into the eggs, Cameron, let's go ahead and talk about the Mark de Schadenfreude. What do you say?
Please, man.
I thought you might like that. This Mike Lee, based Mike Lee. Imagine you've just been granted a letter of marque by Congress, making you a pirate. What do you wear?
Ooh. Chris, a Georgia cap and a super nerdy shirt. Have a holly jolly Sithmas. The Christmas stuff's getting put away today.
I might go with this particular MAGA hat.
Nice. I missed that white MAGA hat that I had. I'd like to know what happened to it.
Oh, it's there.
Oh. Well, I'm glad it got put to good use.
Yeah.
So
I need to update my MAGA trophy paraphernalia. I need to take a picture of the county by county red blue breakdown from 2024 and just print it and frame it and hang it up there, maybe next to the flag. No, it's just funny that there's follow-ups from the things that we talked about yesterday, like exactly. Nostradamus up in this bitch. Mike Lee is based. In fact, his Twitter handle is based Mike Lee, and well, it does what it says on the tin, as the Brits say. And honestly, I'm good with it. Like I am. Oh, yeah. Brother, if I knew we were going to have the kind of border crisis we're having, and I could have stayed in my MOS, relaying to Espanol, which I already speak, taken the DLPT, gotten the extra, taking that extra step where I actually get paid for that super oversaturated foreign language, and stuck around for no reason other than to start hunting the cartel today, 13 years later, I just might have re-enlisted. That's all assuming I wasn't deaf with broken knees and a bad back and all that shit. But, short of that, could have had another Sergeant Major Lowry in the house.
Well, you don't have to be enlisted, though. That's the point of a letter of marque. The term was privateer, and it was basically a legal. You were basically a subcontracted pirate. And like that's what would you wear? I don't know. What do you wear when you're just going to have fun and kick ass? And in all seriousness, like we could joke about it, but I don't think it would be difficult to establish like a baseline rules of engagement. And I don't mean like Obama style rules of engagement. The basic rules of engagement are like, look, guys, go have fun, but you have to reasonably believe everybody you shoot is associated with the cartel. And that's about the only rule that you need.
Sergeant Major says, I could have retired again.
And it would solve the problem. And the fact that they get to essentially keep a cut of the spoils, brother, man, these cartel members are rich. Like this is $1 million payday type of stuff right here.
Yeah, Pitt Danny says your pay is the booty you take. You got to be careful about that when you're talking about raiding, drug cartels, because now you're working in Colombia and Bolivia, and those booties clap.
But yeah, I'd be all for it. And I heard this, and I was like, man, I'm so glad I live in this timeline.
Me too, man. I'm having a ball this year already. Speaking of booties that clap,
Okay, awkward segue, but
this bitch is suing Lyft. Apparently, she's a professional rap artist. Dank Demos. She's suing Lyft, and I just wanted y'all to see this image. She is suing Lyft because she ordered a ride, and her Lyft driver's car could not accommodate her big ass. Okay, this woman weighs 498 pounds. Perspective. I weigh about 300. After losing a bunch of weight last year when I got sick, I'm at about 300. I'm a big old boy, but I'm 6.5 feet tall. This munchkin is not 6.5 feet tall. She is apparently as tall as the back of the car. So I mean, that's the extra round. Extra round.
there's basically enough there for three of her at her target BMI, and I know what that is. And I know what that is because I sold life insurance, and that's one of those things they teach you as a life insurance agent. Like, and it's the truth. Like you walk in and somebody's obviously overweight, they're going to pay more for their life insurance premium. Like you just learn to spot these things. You're like, oh no, I don't have heart problems or diabetes or it really you don't have any of that stuff.
If I was walking in with an application to write a policy for that,
I'd say no.
Exactly. I would just somebody else meets me at the door, walks me in, oh, here's the table, she'll be with you in a minute. She comes in and she could be the sweetest thing you want, comes in with a tray of biscuits and coffee
and a tuba playing in the background.
You just say, sweetheart, thank you for your time, have a nice day.
Well, no, actually, for people like her, there are those guaranteed issue policies. There's shit policies, but they're guaranteed to issue.
Yeah, they are.
That is a guaranteed issue policy if I ever saw one.
How much is insurance going to cost? Well, how much insurance do you want?
Right.
Because basically what we're talking about, sweetheart, is a savings account that charges you interest.
Right. So
Park says you need an LTL carrier for all that ass.
Need an LTL carrier. Look, no, that's not just one ass. She's got like two asses and a front butt. Like,
right, and 3 pair of back titties.
Yeah, like there's just a point. Look, but let's be honest. What's happening here? This is pure opportunist bullshit. Like, what's going to happen is Lyft is going to eventually settle. All the lawyers.
Oh God.
Jesus Christ, Bear. Boy, he's not wrong though. Wow. Brother, you need the things back because Bear just won the top comment award. I don't know that anybody's going to beat that.
Somebody spill a gallon of buttermilk.
Why does it smell like somebody's making biscuits with lard in here?
So, and like I know there's some fat people that I love and adore. Good friends. I don't think I know anybody quite that big anymore.
I don't know anybody 500 pounds. I think we're safe.
Oh, there's one. But anyway, we're not making fun of her because she's fat. Okay, we're making fun of her because she's fat. But it's not because she's fat that we're making fun of her for being fat. It's because this bitch has decided that her bad life choices make her a victim worthy of a court settlement.
Right. And all her lawyers have to do is keep spinning in the media, run out the clock. Lyft will settle. Like that's what's going to happen here. Lyft will settle because they're a business. And at some point you sit down and you do the math and you say, okay, we're going to get hit on this one. There's no way around it. We can go ahead and pay this bitch $1 million right now and make it go away and stop the bleeding. And
maybe not. There's one scenario under which I think Lyft might fight this. Precisely because she is being lambasted in the comments and the zeitgeist is shifting in the positive direction. You saw the Time magazine cover about the cruel kids table, and it's going on and on about, oh, well, MAGA, they're such racists. Look at all these white people in the picture, and of course, you can get a copy of the original image, and it's been cropped in to remove all the black people that were there as well.
Yeah, I know what one you're talking about.
Look, I see what you did there. You fucking lied. That's what you did there. So there's such a massive switch in the zeitgeist right now, and so many companies are responding to that. This may actually be a gift for Lyft, because they can fight this in court if they handle it correctly. They can fight this in court and in the court of public opinion. And hey, we don't put up with woke bullshit. This is why you should choose us over Uber.
Okay.
And other competitors. I'm not saying that's how it's going to go, but there is a path there that they could follow if they're savvy with it.
Okay. You know what? I take your point. That's actually a logical path that they could go down.
Now, the more likely case is what you're talking about. They're going to pay her a nuisance fee to go away.
Right. And they might just choose to do it because, they're a publicly traded company. They have a responsibility to their stockholders and all of that kind of stuff. Like, you do reach a point where you're going to throw good money after bad, and everything associated with this chick is bad money. And look, you and I have driven for Uber and Lyft, and I have allowed some sketchy shit to go on in my car, but I've never had 500 pounds in one seat worth of sketchy shit to go on in my car. And look, I don't want to be in a position of, like, when you get out of the car, I have to turn off my Lyft app and go through the car wash and steam clean the seat you were sitting in. Like, this is, I hope you're right. I'd like to think that because we live in a world, I'd like to think that we live in a world because daddy's home, and the paradigm has shifted, and all the companies are starting to say, maybe we're going to back off the DEI stuff. And I'd love to think that's what's going to happen. But if things follow the trend, she'll get a nuisance fee, and the lawyers know it. Like, these it's easy to joke that lawyers are scumbags. A lot of lawyers are not scumbags. They're good people. Honestly,
the lawyers who took this case are scumbags.
But the lawyers that took this case are scumbags.
They took this case banking on playing the sympathy vote. It's like, oh my God, she's a victim and she's colored. That's a slam dunk. Nobody's gonna say the fat black woman is wrong. Not the poor fat black woman. Oh, hold up. She's a professional rapper. But she's black, so she's clearly poor. Remember, poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
Right? Yeah, I knew you were going to
spend more time on this, Cameron. We've spent more time on this than I intended to. I really just wanted to show the image and get a laugh out of it. And we had some other stuff we wanted to talk about this morning. So watch this segue. I've talked about a film from several years ago called. The movie is about branding. Branded is the name of the movie, and the movie is about the branding industry. What happens in the film is, fast food prices are fast food consumption rates are going down, and the fast food industry, right? Not McDonald's, not Burger King, not one industry. The entire fast food industry hires a consultant to make fast food popular again. And the way he does it is they run this campaign. Instead of convincing America that fast food is good, they convince America that it is virtuous and good to be fat. And so what they do is they start with, they run one of those beauty competitions. And if you're the winner, right, it looks like an anti-beauty competition. So if you're the winner, the ugliest fat chick, then you get this whole raft of cosmetic improvement, which includes surgeries and makeover, et cetera, et cetera. And then the girl that wins, her plastic surgery and her liposuction are botched, and the whole country starts eating extra fast food in solidarity with the poor fat chick because they feel so bad that their terrible culture made her feel like she should do this. And that cranks up the prices. In the film, they reference a story of something like this that actually happened in the late 60s and early 70s, where the vodka industry hired a consultant, right? Not Smirnoff, not Grey Goose. No, the industry hired a consultant, and he crafted this thing where they didn't put them out as advertisements. They put them out as like editorials and opinion columns in the newspaper, and got people talking about the fact that you can't smell vodka on the breath. So you can have 2 drinks at lunch. You walk out of your Manhattan office and go down to the bar. You can have 2 cocktails with lunch. Nobody knows. And vodka became a much more popular beverage as a result. You fast forward to the 90s, and because America had stockpiled billions of tons of cheese, right? The Fat Electrician has a whole video on this. This is how government cheese happened. Prohibition happened. And now you had all these bars that were empty, right? And so they turned into ice cream shops. It's cool. Stay with me, Cameron.
Okay.
They turned into ice cream shops, right? And then because they all turned into ice cream shops, dairy production skyrocketed, went through the roof. It was actually the beginning of farms that specialized exclusively in dairy. But then World War II happens, and austerity measures, and we end up with the government coming in to subsidize those dairy farms to keep them from going under. So the government buys up all the milk, and they don't know what to do with it. Instead of just dumping it into the ocean, they went ahead and made cheese out of it because it stores better, right? Reagan comes in, and there's billions of tons of cheese in this cheese cave, and he said, okay, we got to get rid of this because we're spending millions of dollars a day to refrigerate this shit. And that was the beginning of the government cheese program. And to save that, the milk industry comes through with the Got Milk campaign, an industry advertising. How did this bitch get this way?
She got milk?
The body positivity game, an industry. And in this case, it's not just the fast food industry. It's the fast food industry, the diet industry, right? A business with a supply. They sell an intellectual product, the dieting industry, and they need consumers to buy that product. So you got the fast food industry, you got the diet industry, and you've got the healthcare industry. Most importantly, you've got the centralized government healthcare industry actively working to make people fatter and sicker in the same kind of mass hypnosis propaganda mechanism.
Okay. And now the segue.
I overstepped my segue when I went back to body positivity. I was going to connect that to the government artificially inflating the price of eggs. So the price of eggs is high because Joe Biden wants them high.
Okay.
Get there?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'm still in a cheese cave somewhere, but let's just go to the eggs.
Did you know about the cheese cave?
Yes, I knew about the cheese cave, but I mean the eggs, my man, eggs,
my man. There is not an eggs cave, and if there was, we've just gone in with a hammer and smashed it. So, when I originally wanted to talk about this topic, I had planned on pulling up Twitter and just looking at the screeds, because the last couple days it's just been one after the other. These leftists going on and on and on about the high price of eggs. Well, I'm not the only one that noticed. So when I went to try and find those kinds of screeds, they've all been replaced with guys like Steve Loves Ammo replying to shitheads like Harry Sisson, Harry Sissy Boy says egg prices gas prices, housing prices, grocery prices, rent prices, and more continue to go up. Where is all of MAGA screaming that prices are too high and the president can control it? They're quiet all of a sudden. Retard. I mean, just pure
Harry
retard.
Harry is why I hate the fact that on YouTube we can't call people that word for a bundle of sticks. Because man, that guy.
Right. And I'm, you know what? I'm okay with just calling him an effeminate retard. That works. That's good enough for me.
But, yeah, no, he's an absolute British cigarette. And I don't care if he kisses girls. He's still an absolute British cigarette. Like, oh, did that hurt your fee-fees? Yeah, it's supposed to. Make bullying great again.
But we've been seeing it for the last 3-4 days. Just this. Oh well, Donald Trump's president now, and egg prices are going up. I guess he lied. I guess he broke his promise. Y'all, Donald Trump did a press conference where he said he was gonna work to lower the price of groceries, and in particular, he mentioned the price of eggs. And a week later, Joe Biden ordered the slaughter of over 100 million chickens.
Well, it's that bird flu.
Of course,
Chris. It's that that's one of those things where there might actually be a serious problem with the avian flu, but we live in that world where Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Exactly.
So it's difficult to believe anything and everything. And look, yeah, Donald Trump did.
If a Democrat says the sky is blue, I'll tell him no, clouds are.
Right. Please don't make me question my fundamental reality. Anyhow, but Donald Trump did say, I'm going to do so many things on day one. And to be fair, he did not do all the stuff that he said he was going to do on day one. Like he said, he would commute Ross Ulbricht's sentence on day one. He commuted his sentence on day two. I'm still going to give him I'm still going to give him credit for that one. And frankly,
in fairness, when he said on day one, I was skeptical that he could get much of anything done on day one, because let's be real. He's officially the president at noon, and the ceremony's not over yet. COB is 1700, right? That's an ambitious 3 hours. That's not an ambitious first day. That's an ambitious first 3 hours. Now, in fairness, we're talking about Donald Trump. The man just doesn't sleep, right? He probably took a power nap before he went out on stage, and is getting ready for his next. he's going to bed right now for the first time since taking office. That's just how he rolls.
Right. He's drinking 183 Diet Cokes since then, and it's just been flying. It's like, hey, listen, do you have any of that stuff that you use to keep Joe Biden awake? Because if it can keep Joe Biden awake, guess what it can do for me? So, but look, the price of groceries was one of the things that he said that he would address immediately. And given how much of the stuff he has addressed immediately, he did make a big show of pardoning the vast majority of the January 6ers on day one, and promised that the remaining 100 and something cases would go under review with Pam Bondi. And I'd say that of all of his promises, that was one of the most important ones to keep. The independents were big on it. His base was big on it. The Republicans that kind of held their nose and voted for him were big on it. The Libertarians were big on it. Everybody that was part of the coalition was like, look, first things first, the J6ers have got to get some kind of commutation, pardon, whatever. And he's done so many other things. Like we talked yesterday about how Donald Trump had only been president for a little more than a week. And in some ways, it felt like he'd already been president for a couple of months. But it wasn't like a long, agonizing couple of months. It has been an amazing couple of months that has just flown by, because he's just done so many things, and he's continuing to do things. So this stuff with the price of eggs, I don't doubt that Donald Trump is going to figure out a way to put his finger on the scale somewhere to drive down grocery prices. And he might not even do it in a way that, under ordinary circumstances, guys like you and I would disagree with. We don't want the government to interfere with the marketplace. But we live in a world where the government has already so interfered with the marketplace, it may require another shot of interference in order to set the scales back to where they should be. And then the market will take over. And the other thing to point out, and we talked about this in the run up, in fact, I know that we've talked about this privately and on the show, is that a lot of the financial shit that was out there hanging around, was going to come back around and was going to get dumped in Donald Trump's lap his first couple of years in office if he won re-election, because the debt crisis and just all of the financial problems that we have in our system, where they've been kicking the can down the road. If there's ever somebody that they wanted to leave holding that fucking bag, it was Donald Trump that they wanted to leave holding that fucking bag. And I'm not even making excuses. I'm saying that this was something that we predicted a long time ago. Government interferon. Nice. This is something that we predicted would happen, and now it's actually happening. And frankly, these financial issues needed to get addressed. They were either going to get addressed with somebody like Kamala in charge, or they were going to get addressed with Trump in charge. And I'm actually glad that it's Trump. So yeah, the price of eggs has temporarily gone up. And look, if you'll just give me like one more minute here, Chris, this one in particular, excuse me, but I'm just going to jump all in. It makes me so fucking angry, because we've talked before about how we eat eggs in this house. I live with my brother. We roommate because we can't fucking afford to live alone, because it's just too fucking expensive. He and I literally make more money than we've ever made in our lives, and we're barely holding it together. And we eat a lot of eggs because they're cheap, they're high in protein, they're quick and easy to cook. And we've seen the price of eggs go up and go up and go up and go up. And people like that bundle of sticks, Harry, we're like, oh, but you don't understand economics, and everything's working, and it's not really that bad. And we've slowed the pace of inflation. You stupid little plebite conservative. No, you're fine. You just don't understand what's happening. And now, because of the optics, now all of a sudden you care about the price of fucking groceries. Now you care how much eggs cost. It's been a problem for me and my household for years, but now you care about the price of eggs. Like, ooh, you absolute British cigarette. I'm going to stop before I get us booted off YouTube.
Alex points out the reality is, if you can get your customers used to paying a certain price, you're far less likely to reduce that price. There's very little competition in the produce market. And he's absolutely correct. We will see the price of eggs come back down, and that's true for the price of eggs. The price of all food products, we will see those come down over the next year because of energy prices. Because what's going to happen is you're going to see discount grocery stores find that because their shipping costs go down, that they can lower prices in order to compete with other grocery stores. And you'll see people who used to normally do all their grocery shopping at a Publix start going to Kroger because they can save 10 cents on a dozen eggs, or 50 cents.
Bro, Kroger, I've been shopping at Food Depot and Aldi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those Hispanic mercados? Yeah, brother. Now we're talking.
In fairness, I mean, I get my groceries at Walmart because it's the store. Like, I wish there were a convenient Aldi near here, but one of the things we gave up when we moved out to the country was ordering our groceries to be delivered, because nobody's going to load up my groceries and then drive 30, 45 minutes out to my place. So, but Yeah, so we will see those prices go down, and precisely because of oil prices. Now, fair play to Biden. They're a piece of the inflation crisis that just occurred was related to the COVID stimulus plans, right? And that happened under Donald Trump. He signed off on that. Yes, it was pushed through by Democrats largely, but he did sign off on sending everybody a check. And there did appear to be, at the time, a crisis which could not be wasted. And again, that was something that the Democrats pushed for. And like I've said before, Donald Trump was a Democrat. And while there ain't no zealot like a convert, old habits can be hard to shove off, just like the buttstock problem. But more than that, let's not forget, all inflation happens at the printing press. So inflation, the bulk of the inflation that we've seen happen over the last 4 years, it started with Joe Biden shutting down oil production and energy production in the United States, and then using the money that he took out of the Keystone XL pipeline to fund the building of the Nord Stream pipeline in order to start the Ukraine conflict, which we are funding both sides of. We are funding both sides of that conflict, right? And when I say that, it's not just, I'm not just pointing to, CIA Black Ops bullshit and making conspiracy theory claims. We funded the building of the Nord Stream pipeline, and that has been a major funding vehicle to empower the Russian war machine. That's just how that is done. And offshoring our oil production has been one of the principal drivers of price increases, at the same time that making the money machine go burr economic policy is just killing our inflation rates. The official statement from the White House said that eggs have gone up 66% over the period of Biden's presidency. And maybe I just don't understand how math works, but from $2 a carton from $2 a dozen to $10 a dozen, that seems like different than 66% increase. Right.
Well, look,
I would think that a carton of eggs that was 66% more expensive than a $2 carton of eggs would be $3.12.
Well, we never bought them by the dozen. We'd buy that. We talked before how we buy the pallet of
that's
60 eggs.
Yeah, 5 dozen eggs at a time.
And it went from between $4 and $6 to between $18 and $22, and that's a big jump for eggs. Like, and it's, I'm not going to rant again, but like this one, I don't get angry about many things. I have learned to hold on to my inner peace.
But
so
you
to
don't build
speak.
Gaston under these conditions.
No, you don't. And Gaston was right. Like, the Beast was kidnapping people. He might have been a douchebag, but he was right. Anyhow, Triton was right too. You don't let your daughter run off and marry a man she just met. Like, good Lord.
You know what, though? Gaston may be a great caricature for Trump. Like, okay, I get it. You don't quite like the way he conducts himself. He can be a little bit brash, a little bit of a braggart, a little bit of an asshole. Does that mean we should feed our children to the cartel?
Yes, yeah, and Xander's reinforcing a point.
We're looking for was no.
And Xander is reinforcing a point. Shout out, by the way, TPS report, Rumble, Facebook, and X. They don't stream on YouTube because YouTube can be a shitty place to stream, frankly. But shout out to them. But Xander points out now that Trump,
they may have a point.
but Xander points out that Trump's president. You can watch him take the blame. Yeah, that's what we were talking about at the beginning of this. That we knew that if Trump win, a lot of the financial time bombs that have been put on indefinite delay were going to get dropped into his lap, and yeah, this is where we're at now. They care about the price of eggs now that they can say that the pudding brain in chief, Joe Biden, that won the most fortified, secure election of all time. Now that they can say that it's not his fault, it's Trump's fault. Now all of a sudden, oh yeah, the government can totally affect market prices. It's like, you absolute pieces of dog shit. Like, I hate you guys. We're talking about something that directly affects me, has directly affected me. Like, going to Walmart is one of the scariest things I do every month. And so yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at.
I see Angry Conservative just popped in the chat. Hey, brother, I got your message yesterday. I'm glad to see you got your YouTube channel back. I'm glad I could help with that. I probably won't have time this afternoon, but I will drop in on you sometime soon, and we'll do a little chit chat again. I had fun the last time I popped on for your show. Angry Conservatives worth checking out, giving a subscribe to, guys. And like Cameron mentioned, TPS report. Most especially, go hit them up on X and make sure you follow them on X and help them grow that presence as well, because right now X is probably the best way for any content creator to grow on the other platforms as well. It's on X in part to use the growth on other platforms to shut people away from YouTube. So definitely go check those guys out over there.
You keep insulting YouTube, and we keep not growing on YouTube. It's is it the chicken or the egg? Oh, and I brought it back home right there.
Indeed, the chicken or the egg. Which came first, the egg prices or the Trump? Oh, that's right. So this, I just want to show this headline as we were talking about taking the blame, right? This is a headline through MSN from The Independent. The headline: White House blames Biden for killing 100 million chickens, in scare quotes. Wait, are you trying to suggest that didn't happen? Refuses to admit Trump broken vow on costly eggs. Okay, and I want to wrap this story up, but I just want to make this point as well. We're hearing, like I showed you the hairy sissy boy thing there. Egg prices, gas prices, housing prices, grocery prices, rent prices, and more continue to go up. Y'all, literally as recently as 3 and 4 weeks ago, the Biden administration was blaming the Donald Trump presidency for all of the problems in America, even going so far as to claim that they had cut border encounters by half. They would say that Donald Trump's border policies were disastrous, and we have cut border encounters by half. Hold up. Wait a minute.
Chris, when you don't chase anybody, there's not an encounter.
Right? So I can accept the premise that Donald Trump's border policies during his administration were insufficient, based on the argument that sufficient would equal zero illegal immigration. Right? But then for Biden to be able to say we've cut it in half, remember, we got that interview with Kamala, and I forget the guy's name, the black guy with the pencil-thin mustache, looked like something out of a Jimmy Buffett song. But he pointed out, yeah, but first you quadrupled it. Yeah, but we cut it in half. Okay, but that's still double what Trump had. You're still twice as bad as Trump, but we cut it in half.
Yeah, that's
like, remember Cade talking about his wife going saving. She's going saving.
Yeah, I was about to bring up that exact thing.
It was still $400.
No, baby, I saved 20% at the mall today. I only spent $400. Okay, so you spent. Yeah, that's wife math. That is
And
wife math.
that in a nutshell is why the 19th was a mistake.
Right. Yeah. Look, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm
Safe.
I'm just look, and that 100 million chicken and square 100 million chickens and scare quotes. Brother, I don't even need to look it up. It's going to end up being like 97.6 million chickens. And so that's the kind of thing that like PolitiFact would rate as mostly false.
Oh, it is actually more than 100 million chickens.
Oh, so it's still mostly false according to PolitiFact.
Exactly.
Yeah, once you're killing millions of chickens, but that's where we're at. That's why we have such a hard time. We're automatically suspicious of the fact that they're saying, "Oh, well, there's avian flu." Yeah, but is there really avian flu? And if there is avian flu, is it really as bad as you say it is? I don't know that I believe you. And it's the little boy who cried wolf. Like that is exactly what it is. Um, you want to keep going on this, or you want to hit some of the other stuff? I know I loaded up the box today. By the way, if my boss is watching, look, I didn't take today off to do this stream. I did take today off to handle some things. Handle some things that I needed to handle today and tomorrow. I didn't.
Is there a high degree of likelihood that your boss is watching this morning?
I don't know. I don't know. We've only got like 30 viewers at the moment, so maybe not. But still, just in case somebody wants to pass this along. Wow, I don't even know that you can put that comment on screen, but that was funny. That was good.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to back off of that one. Well, I tell you what, Sergeant Major, we'll do this one next. Transgender service members sue Trump over his military ban. Mario, if you're alive, get in here. We need your input on this one. So, transgender service members sue Trump over his military ban.
The imaginary people are bringing a. Yes, I am mocking you. Absolutely, I'm done with it.
So here's the thing. I've told this story a few times on the show. I was having a conversation about this with a professor back in, when Trump was in office the first time, and the transgender in the military issue was a big deal. And I said, look, first I need to know, are we talking about a mental disorder or a physical deformity? Because it is necessarily one or the other. If a person who says they are transgender is asking for a medical intervention, that's what transgender means. That they believe that they have parts different to what is connected to their brain.
Right.
They should have had different parts, and that they deserve special privileges to accommodate that malformation. And it is either, and I believe both can be, I believe it can actually be either case. You can be wrong in your assumption, or it can be the case that you have a physical malformation so you either need mental health intervention or you need some sort of surgical intervention. Okay, fine. You cannot enlist if you have mild asthma, if you're colorblind, if you have flat feet, if you can't duck walk good, if you spread your asshole for the doctor and he sees a polyp he doesn't recognize or like, right? There's a whole lot of if you're as fat as I am right now, which is way less fat than that bitch that's suing Lyft. Okay, when I first went to enlist, I was overweight. I was substantially overweight by the Army's definition. And in fairness, I stayed overweight by the Army's definition for my entire career because at 6'6", the Army table says that I'm never supposed to weigh more than 217 pounds, which, I mean, those of you who've known me for a while and saw me when I was still active duty at 260 pounds, I look like I'm svelte. At 217, I'd look like Harry Sisson, right?
No, you wouldn't. You don't have that pretty of a
Yeah.
face. Yeah, a bitch. Like, well, like, there's
just to enlist, I had to lose 50 pounds, and I quit drinking sweet tea, I quit drinking soda pop, and I spent 3 hours on an elliptical machine watching Star Trek: Star Trek Deep Space Nine on the base in Savannah for about a month, and boom, 50 pounds gone. Right, it wouldn't be until almost 20 years later that I learned you could lose 60 pounds in a week with pneumonia, but hindsight is 2020. But the point is, King Doe points out you can't get a TS SCI clearance if you talk in your sleep or sleepwalk. Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I had one, and I apparently occasionally talk in my sleep, but it's usually in Latin, so that didn't count.
There's a thing here. We say something is either wrong with your body or your brain, and I 100% take your point. And this is not to quibble with the overall point that you were making. But one reason why I have come to so fundamentally reject anything and everything related to what I'm going to refer to as trans ideology, we need to stop thinking of our brain and body as separate things. Your brain is part of your body. Your body is part of your brain. They are the same thing. So if what you need to do as a trans person is to fix part of your body to put yourself in better alignment with how you view yourself through your own ego, fine. I agree. Your brain is part of your body.
Right. And I'll take that kind of a step further. As far as speaking to it in the sense of medicine, we think of mental health professionals. You should think of a mental health professional as, instead of thinking them of being a separate field that is apart from medicine. Like we tend to separate those two doctors and mental health professionals. We tend to separate those two categories theoretically. But you have oncologists for cancer, you have otolaryngologists for ear, nose, and throat, you have proctologists and et cetera who specialize in specific parts of the body. But you have most of us have a primary care provider through our insurance provider, whatever. You have a generalist, right? You have a general physician who you consult, and they tell you who you need to talk to, right? Like, you got a big old boil on your toe. Do you need to see do you need to go see a podiatrist, or do you need to go see a dermatologist? Right? Oh, well, it may be.
Well, it depends on the boil.
Yeah, exactly. Right. what kind of doctor would I need to see if I put this foot up your ass? Well, depending on the depth, that would either be a proctologist or a general surgeon. Right. But you see a physician to ask that question. But quite simply, if a person says they are transgender, they are, under no circumstances, without exception, under no circumstances, fit to serve. It is that simple.
Yeah, and that's what this amounts to. The military's job is to hurt people and break things. And sure, the military can do things like humanitarian aid and help with disaster relief in North Carolina and all that. But ultimately, and please, military guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, job one of the military, hurt people and break things. That's what you call them up for. They're not there to be nice. They're there to fuck shit up. And you don't need any impediment to that. It's why there's all these specific requirements for, like, if you have certain legal problems, you can't join the military, or if you have certain mental problems, you can't join the military, because you need to be a reliable cog in that machine. You have to be able to take orders, understand.
You are in significant financial debt. you can't join.
So, so there's all these things that could compromise you, and it's because if things go wrong and it's time for job one to come around, like you need to be reliably trusted to get handed a rifle and go to work. And I don't care. And to be clear, I'm not saying I support women in combat roles, but ultimately, I don't care about your sex. I don't care about your identity. I don't care about any of that. If we're talking about defense of the nation, I don't care about anything other than your aptitude and your actual proven ability. That is all I care about. The fact that we have separate standards for the sexes immediately is a problem. I'll compromise with the left right now. You know what? I'll even fight Chris and Mario and everybody else on it. Women in combat, sure, all day long, as long as they can follow the same standards as the men. If the men have to do 17 chin-ups, the chicks have to do 17 chin-ups. It's off. Because we're talking about self-defense. And we're not just talking about self-defense. Let's be real. For the foreseeable future, America's military is going to continue to be the police force of the entire fucking planet. And everywhere we show up, we actually bring stability when we're not hamstrung by stupid shit like what Obama did in saying, well, you're not allowed to fight back under X, Y, Z, A, B, and C conditions.
Yeah.
So, but the point is,
I had a lot of conversations while Obama was in office over. I had to have a lot of conversations with high military brass over whether or not I should have killed that particular terrorist that day.
But the point is, the American military kicks ass, is one of the most ass-kicking fighting forces in all of recorded history, like period, even comparable to, like, say, the Spartans. And they have to be able to do that job. You must be able to, frankly, if we're going to be the thing that keeps the entire world from sliding into full-on despotism, if that's our lot in life, fine. Again, I'll compromise with all you globalists. Sure, sometimes the American military is going to have to get involved in shit that everybody thinks is a bad idea if you're a fucking American. But if we're going to do that, can we at least maybe possibly not use the military for social engineering experiments? Be like, oh yeah, we could totally let trannies in the military. No, the only color that matters when you put on that uniform is green. That's it. You stop being a person when you join the military. And that's a hard thing for some people to hear. And again, please, soldiers, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not, yeah, sure, you're technically still a white boy from Georgia or a black guy from California or a Hispanic chick from Michigan, like whatever. But no, that's not what matters anymore. What matters now is that you swore an oath, and until that contract is over, that oath is the most important thing in your life. You have volunteered to allow your country to send you to your death if that's what they deem as necessary. And I need people that are capable of doing that job, and you can fuck all the way off over there. And once you get all the way over there, you can keep fucking off. If you're going to tell me that, well, it's not fair to the trannies. Well, it's not fair to the rest of the world. That's who it's really not fair to.
I'll make one correction about what you said about the oath. The only part of that oath, that ends when your contract ends, is the idea that there are officers appointed who have the authority to issue orders to you. That's it. As soon as that contract is over, the president's appointed officers, they no longer outrank you. You got, because you just got promoted to civilian.
Right. I'm just saying, while you're enlisted, like
that. Now, I won't. We don't need to go down the rabbit hole on all the other reasons women don't belong in combat, besides the fact that they simply are not elite athletes. Yeah, yeah, that's basically it. Now, of course, the story, the story that we were getting to, just 6 transgender members of the military have sued President Trump over his executive order banning trans people from serving. The
Good.
suit
Let's have this court fight.
exactly. I want to hear these arguments in court. The suit, filed in Washington, D.C. federal court Tuesday by 6 current service members and 2 transgender people seeking to enlist, come a day after Trump signed an order claiming transgender people's sexuality conflicts with a soldier's commitment to honorable, truthful, and disciplined lifestyle and hurts military preparedness. They are leaving out a hell of a lot by selecting that particular tidbit right there. So let me address that real quick. Frankly, it has nothing to do with your personal proclivity, right? Now, there's good arguments to be made related to the personal proclivity thing, but here's what it comes down to. If you've got a bad cavity, you need a root canal, right? And you're waiting to see the dentist and get your tooth fixed. You are non-deployable. You are non-deployable, right? You have to get that taken care of. If you broke your ankle in training, getting ready to deploy, you are now non-deployable until that injury is corrected, right? If you have a neovagina that requires the lubricated insertion of a spacer twice a day, you are non-deployable. Lincoln and Emerson say, hi boys. I'm sorry you had to learn a new word today.
I had to learn a bunch of new words today. My bad. There are kids watching.
I'm pretty sure they didn't just learn the F word from you, my man. But
yeah, but they learned it a lot.
Yeah, they did. But yeah, if you are some that it is that simple. If you have a condition that requires constant medical intervention, you're non-deployable. That is all the reason one needs right there to say you're not eligible for service. Right? And, not to put too fine a point on it, but amputees are not eligible to enlist.
Yeah, for a really good reason. So you're right. This one was I know I criticized you a lot for going down rabbit holes. This one was my fault. Like it just, I'm full of, I had a good night's sleep, full of piss and vinegar this morning.
Hey, real quick, Pitt Danny points out it's a mental illness the court case will find. And yes, that you can put that down as a pretty important conservative win, as much as a tool of propaganda as the DSM-5 has been for doing things like recategorizing pedophilia as a sexual preference rather than a dangerous mental disorder. There was a movement a few years ago to remove transgenderism, to remove gender dysphoria from the DSM-5 as a clinical diagnosis. And it was the transgender community themselves that fought back against that maneuver. And their argument was, now hold on a minute. If you change it so that we don't have a mental illness to get diagnosed with, then we can no longer use that basis to claim government benefits and get all these unnecessary surgeries and mutilations paid for. Let's make no mistake. Trannies join the army for free surgery. Right? Some people join the army to get their college paid for. And that's fair. That's reasonable. That's part of negotiating a compensation package. But There's a significant difference. If you join the army and they pay for an education, you become a more valuable combat asset. That can get you, or you get yourself promoted to an officer position and take a commission. Right? You either become a more valuable asset or you become an officer. Can't do both. Sorry, Sean. It's how it is. But But if you join the army for the purpose of having your genitalia mutilated, then you become a non-combat ready, not asset. You become a liability.
So I'm actually glad that this court fight is going to happen. And I'm glad that it's going to happen right now. And we're going to put this issue to bed. Um, it's always progressive ideology that messes up the military. You've talked before about how war is prior to ethics. And I have talked before about how the most humane thing you can do in war is to hurry up and win. That's actually the only way to limit collateral damage. At this point, for example, I think everything that's happening in the Russia and Ukraine conflict is an utter waste. All it's doing is costing lives and resources for a conflict that we all know is going to end in some kind of stalemate where Ukraine is going to give over some type of token concession to Russia in order to stop the conflict. That's how it's going to end. The longer the war drags on, the more people are killed in a pointless conflict that will resolve nothing. So when we talk about all the social engineering in the military, when we talk about why it's important to say no, women don't belong in combat roles, it's because of that reason. It's because once you go to war, you have to be committed to winning the war, and you have to be willing to do whatever it takes to win the war, because the longer it goes on, the worse it is for everybody involved. So no, all this tranny nonsense doesn't belong. And look, progressive intellectuals have a history of doing this. It was Woodrow Wilson, for example, that segregated the military. Up until Woodrow Wilson, it didn't matter if you were white or black. Once you joined the military, you were in the military. And then Woodrow Wilson, that racist Democrat that screamed KKK propaganda at the White House, that guy segregated the military, and he did it because he was doing black people a favor. And I shit you not, if you don't believe me, Google it. These are all true. He screened a Birth of Nations at the White House, and he segregated the military because he said it was good for black people. Okay. And all this is more progressive shit coming down the pipe, and more progressive shit infecting areas where it absolutely does not belong. So yeah, go ahead, trannies, sue the government, because you're playing for all the marbles when you do this. Because if the rulings go against you, you're going to actually create a path for the military to change the military code back to, no, we don't want any fucking trannies in the military. And you're going to open the door for more steps to get taken that will further enable discrimination in the military. And yes, the military should absolutely discriminate. The military should discriminate for any and all reasons that it deems necessary. And if you think that discrimination is somehow sexist or ethnocentric or any of that, I don't care, Margaret. I don't care.
You know what? I'm glad you brought up black soldiers. You all want to read that headline?
Oh yeah, okay, guys. Here we go. We've been talking so much about stuff. We used to talk about nerdy things and movies and stuff like that on this channel. We were on a crusade against Disney, so this is picking that back up. Anthony Mackie clarifies his viral Captain America comment. I'm a proud American. The actor turned heads when he previously said, to me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those representations.
Yeah.
Now,
what kind of psychobabble is that?
Look, okay, so there's a little bit of table setting that is appropriate here. Obviously, Captain America 4, what Nerdrotic refers to as Captain African American, is coming out, and the movie's going to flop harder than Lizzo at a pool party. But
harder than Lizzo at a pool party, maybe as hard as the lift chick.
Yeah, the lift chick. Yeah, I refuse to even learn her name. However, look, Chris Evans actually has said similar things in the past.
Yeah.
So
Chris Evans is a total commie.
So there's a really fine line to walk here. Part of this is the fact that they've kind of blatantly race swapped Captain America around here, and I have seen some black commentators that I follow and respect actually say, hold on now, be real careful as you discuss this issue, that you just don't turn this into a black-white thing. And that's fair, but there's a couple of things. One, we've just gotten so tired of having this kind of ideology shoved down our throat over and over and over again that now we're hypersensitive to it. Now we notice it. Now we realize, yes, of course, the black guy playing Captain America has got some super woke point that he's trying to make. However, it's blowing up in his face, which I think is a good thing. Let's also not forget that all Marvel properties are owned by Disney, and Disney is the company that has gone so far as to have DEI hires say that they're deliberately trying to inject queerness into preschool programming, right? Yeah, like all of the like what we're looking at here, in and of itself, wouldn't really be that much of a problem if there wasn't the ideology behind it, if it wasn't being done to deliberately slap people in the face. And look, as far as Chris Evans goes and Anthony Mackie goes, Captain America, bruh, it's right there in the name. It's Captain America. Captain America was literally created as a propaganda tool in World War One. World War Two. Like, there's literally a comic book cover of him punching Hitler. Okay, like
the first Captain America movie is about it. At the beginning of it is about the character Captain America doing the propaganda tours, selling national security bonds. About it's about the fact that he wasn't a real hero. He was a government advertising campaign until he decided to go heroing. Right. And so, yeah, I mean, the
this
point
movie's going
to that there's even this whole thread through all the Marvel movies where Chris Evans is Captain America. Like, I think it's at the beginning of either the Winter Soldier or no, it's at the beginning of the Avengers. They're doing the raid on the Nazi stronghold, go to fight Hydra, and somebody says holy shit or something, and Captain America comes across the radio and says language, and they harass him about it for the rest of the movie because he's been thawed out from the 40s, right? He's living in modern day America, but all of his personal proclivities, morals, and sensitivities and sensibilities are from the 1940s. And y'all, Kamala and them kept saying we're not going back, and we're like, going back to what? Liberty, prosperity, healthy families, healthy children.
Yeah, kids playing outside instead of watching trans propaganda on TikTok on their iPhones. Yeah. Brother, did you ever think that you
parents in there, leave a comment, raise your hand. When I was a teenager in the 90s, I would hop on my bicycle and ride downtown in the little small town in Maine that we lived in the mid 90s. I'd ride downtown with my buddies and we'd go play Magic cards at the comic book store, go to the movies, go to the pizza place. We all had our little part-time jobs. We had a little spending money. When I was 14, 15, 16 years old, before I had a car and lived in Atlanta, take a bicycle, ride downtown. And, there were always at least 3 or 4 of us together. So mom and dad, they might not know where we are, but they're pretty damn certain that we're with other people. And no matter what kind of stupid shit we get up to, there's at least somebody to call 911 on the payphone. But, leave a comment, would you let your kids do that now? I don't. When we were still living in Conyers, there's no way in hell I'd let my 12, 13, 14-year-old kids take their bicycle and ride it to the store. No. It is a different world today.
So just 2 other things I want to touch. One, I don't think that this is an overreaction from our side because Disney has already used this character to push a significant amount of propaganda. You've got to do better, Senator.
Yeah.
Like they released a show on Disney Plus where this character became Captain America. Should have been an absolute smash hit of a show. And instead it ended up being terrible, pushed all this woke programming stuff about how, like, if you're black in America, even if you're a superhero, the system is still going to screw you over, which is just blatantly not true. So the fact that Chris and I are reacting to the racial element of it, I don't think it's because we're white guys. I think it's because the racial environment has already been created and we're reacting to it. And finally, I just want to end on a question. Chris, did you ever think you'd live to see a day where Harrison Ford is going to play the Red fucking Hulk and you're not the slightest bit interested in going to see that movie?
Wow. I have probably the worst answer to that question that you could have hoped for. That's totally news to me.
Yeah, Harrison Ford is playing Thunderbolt Ross and is going to transform into the Red Hulk in this movie. And I'm like, yeah, but nah.
That's one that I'll watch it if it comes. I might watch it if it comes on one of the streaming platforms that I'm already subscribed to, which is not a lot of them. I had a bunch of them. I had Hulu and Disney Plus and all those for a while, and now I'm down to basically I have Prime because we live so far out in the country that I really am getting over on shipping costs with Prime.
Dude, Prime is the bomb, man. I guzzled the entire Stargate series, and I mean
hell yes.
And I'm currently working my way through Farscape. So
okay, Stargate. That's 10. Is it 10? Is it 10 or 11 seasons?
There's 10 seasons of SG-1. There's 4 seasons of Atlantis, and there's Atlantis, 2 seasons of Universe, and there's a couple of TV movies. Yeah, all fantastic.
It's hundreds of hours.
Yes.
Right. And I've watched the whole thing all the way through at least twice, and it's excellent every single time. Especially any episode that has Teal'c in it. What is an Oprah? That's one of my favorite moments in all of television. What is an Oprah?
Oh yeah, see, I got to.
Yes, Farscape is also excellent.
Yeah, back in. Yeah. Anyhow, that's where we're at. Like we're at the point where guys like me, look, I promise I want new Doctor Who to excite me. It doesn't.
Not for a dozen years.
Yeah, like we're gonna have Peter Capaldi play the Doctor, and you're gonna hate it. Wait, what? No, that doesn't make any sense. So I want these things in my entertainment. Like I don't want to go back and keep rewatching old Star Trek episodes. But when the new ones that come out are just this shit that continues to
Abrams is the president of Earth.
right, right,
Yeah.
and to all the people that say, "Hey, look, Star Trek was always progressive." Well, yes, you're not wrong, but dear Lord, are you missing some serious context? Star Trek used to do this thing that was excellent, where they were really good at showing both sides of an argument and not doing both sides isms, but really good at showing both sides of an argument. One of the most famous episodes of Star Trek is "Let That Be Your Last Battlefield," and for those of you that don't know, that's the episode with the guys that are half white on one side and half black on the other side, and they hate each other because one half of their planet was white on the right and one half of their planet was white on the left. And of course, it was making the point that all racism is bad, and these stupid shitbirds are at the point now where they say, that episode's actually kind of problematic because they're not all racism is equal, and it's like, guys, if racism is bad, then racism is bad. But these are the people that are in charge of our entertainment, which brings us back around to the question that I asked. You got Harrison Ford playing the Red Hulk, which I would normally have already have bought my ticket in advance for that, and now, nah.
Well, and I mean, let me just say it, right. I liked Anthony Mackie, right. I liked him.
He's a fantastic actor.
He was a great actor, great character, and I'm sure he could have been a great Captain America. But let's be clear about this, right? This is not your new Spider-Man, right? This is not what's his face? The Afro-Cuban Spider-Man.
Morales.
Morales. Right. This Anthony Mackie is not Miles Morales. Right. So this is just straight race swap. Now they kind of coded it through a passing of the mantle thing, but we've talked about this several times before. Damn, it's already 10-9. We're gonna have to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm sorry, I even kicked this can of worms now.
We're not even gonna get to the other stuff. Whose fault is this? Is it both our faults?
Yeah, mostly yours.
Okay.
But okay, yeah. We've talked about this before, and we'll probably go deep on this many times again in the future. The difference between a Black Little Mermaid and an Afro-Cuban Spider-Man is an important difference, because if the argument is that the race of the character doesn't matter, then why are we even having the argument?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, you and I were brought up in a world where colorblind was the ideal. And then somewhere in our 30s, that concept got flipped on its head. You're like, oh, you colorblind? What, do you get confused at traffic lights? Like so we learned the lesson to be colorblind and actually started to practice it. And once we began to implement it, we became the bad guys for doing it. And it's like, wait a fucking minute. I don't really care about but you know what? That's not true. That's not true. You give me a soul food kitchen ran by a 60-year-old married couple in the ghetto, brother, and I'm pulling up a plate. Like, I'm eating there. I know that's going to be good food right there.
There's a joint. There used to be a joint in downtown Decatur, right across the street from the courthouse, that sold that kind of food. It was an old Korean couple, and the name of the restaurant was Soul Food. SEOUL.
That's phenomenal. Hey,
You go
look,
in there, an old Korean man would serve you chicken fried steak with gravy and collard greens, and it was excellent.
man, them Koreans love Americanizing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a fried chicken joint on every corner on the Pando, baby.
Hey, look, I know you said 10 minutes to 9.
And I do need to start wrapping it up because I've got an appointment to get to, but go ahead.
Just super quick. The buyout. The buyout. Just pull it up. Let's just hit it. Let's just make people aware of the fact that it's in yeah, it's in our group thread.
Yeah, we can hit you mean the LA walking tour?
No. The Trump and the federal workers should be it's the one directly above the Anthony Mackie story. Yeah, you want to talk about winning. This is winning. We started with Trump shit, we're going to end with Trump shit. It's a bookend.
Trump administration offers roughly 2 million federal workers a buyout to resign. Now, this doesn't apply to military or law enforcement, national security infrastructure, postal service, etc.
Hey, baby, when you're chopping down a really big tree, you got to start with the first few swings. And
But basically, if you have a federal job and you don't matter,
we're going to pay you to go away.
You, right? Like, for example, every ATF or IRS agent, you only matter because you are the enemy of the people. Because you are the one of the few things that is a more grave threat to the U.S. national security, prosperity, sovereignty, and liberty, and than China or the mainstream legacy freaking government cheese media. Trump administration offers roughly 2 million federal workers a buyout to resign. President Donald Trump's administration is offering federal workers the chance to take a deferred resignation, which would mean they agree now to resign but get paid through September. It's not even a lump sum. That's awesome.
Dude, everything about this story is
now.
Yeah, everything about this is such a Trump move. This is when we say that we want a businessman to run things like a business. This is how a businessman solves a problem. Okay.
These numbers. A senior administration official told NBC News that they expect between 5 and 10% of the federal workforce to quit, which they estimate could lead to around $100 billion in savings. Let that sink in for a minute. Paying them for most of the rest of the year, only 5 or 10% leaving would save $100 billion. Y'all, that right there is enough information in my book to just shut down the government.
You know, I've talked before about how I hate the way that the media and the power structure define compromise. Because everybody, well, a good compromise is where nobody's happy. Well, no, that's a shit compromise. A good compromise actually is something everybody can at least live with. And this is a fantastic compromise. This is how a businessman solves these problems. He looks at it and goes, you know what? Look, I'll tell you what. I'll make this easy for you guys. I will pay you while you go look for another job.
Yeah, I will pay you to go away. Dude, the offer went out to the federal workforce through a new system that the Trump administration set up to give officials the ability to email all federal employees at once. The email included a draft resignation letter for them to review. If a person wishes to resign, they will be able to simply reply with the word resign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Again, that's how businessman does it. We're going to make this efficient. How easy can we make this?
Let me end this with an entertaining anecdote. about Donald Trump's first administration. We'll take you back to I think it was 2017 when it happened. The Trump administration implemented a national security or national emergency broadcast system that would be able to send out something like the Amber Alerts for various types of incidents that you would need notification about. So the emergency broadcast system was going to be replaced with essentially a text message. That system still exists and is still in place. It just hasn't been used or tested. Here's the funny. About a day before, the day before the day they tested that was when I got my first set of hearing aids, which are connected to my phone via Bluetooth. And when that broadcast happened, I was in a classroom. I was actually in a cinematography classroom, and I had been asked to speak on the basically the math around how many lights and production devices you could plug in on different types of electrical systems before you're in danger of setting the set on fire. So I'm in front of a college class giving a lecture on electrical math when that warning signal went out, and it went off in my hearing aids. I froze. And I mean, like I was physically paralyzed. It went out. All the phones in the classroom went off, and I think I came that close to having a seizure. I mean, it scared me because it was so loud. It wasn't loud. It was loud. And that we had that moment. Verified Bear says, Amber Alert, you're fired. Remember when he fired James Comey? Comey got the news that he was fired because it was being reported on CNN while he was in a bar. Remember that one? Okay. We do need to wrap it up because I got to get on the road in a minute here and get to my appointment.
Look, I'll try and be here tomorrow. No promises.
Roger. I know you're busy. I see you out there humping and hustling, busy as a squirrel trying to shed a pineapple. Yeah. I'm proud as I could be, my buddy.
Yeah, I took a couple of days off work so I could just do a different kind of work.
I used to do that. I understand. So y'all be safe out there. Thanks for watching this morning. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.